Okay, let's go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Chick Chat. We are back with another story of the week, and this is Am I the Asshole? And it's from an hour ago, and it's titled,
I don't know why I get excited about the new one.
So we've been filming while this is posted.
True, we've been filming for hours.
So this one is titled, Am I the Asshole? Fiancé Can't Hear Me. It goes, I, female 28, and my fiancé, male 29, have been living together for years. Most things are great. My only qualm really is the fact that the moment his phone catches his attention, even if I'm in the middle of speaking, he zones out onto his phone and literally doesn't hear me anymore. This makes me feel like other people who are texting him or whatever is more important than waiting the 2 seconds to let me finish talking before his attention is gone. When I bring it up, he gets defensive, telling me, well, sorry for so and so texting me. What do you want me to do? Even though I've explained to him many times that it makes me feel not important. Am I the asshole for this? What do I do?
No, you're not an asshole for feeling emotions. If you feel like you're being ignored, then that's valid. I mean, it depends on how you behave when you feel like you're being ignored. Did you flip a table? Then you're probably an asshole. But if you said, I'm sad, and he said, too bad, so sad, then I feel like he's kind of an asshole. So I'm going to say no, she's not. I know phones are distracting, but I feel like every couple deals with this in some way, shape, or form.
It happens with both me and Dean, honestly. It happens with both of us. I get distracted all the time by my phone when I get a text sometimes, so he'll be talking and I'll just like zone out as well. I mean, that happens with me too. I think it's natural these days, and I think it's a problem for everybody.
Yeah, it's not that we ignore it, but I think that the assumption right away off the bat that this behavior means I'm unimportant is maybe something you should be thinking about yourself. Because if you're telling him that you feel that way, that's one thing, but if you're just assuming that and not correcting him, then I don't think that's really fair either. So, I don't know. I wonder how many times or if at all this person has brought it up with her husband. It seems like they've had some conversations about it, but I don't know.
I do think people should start, in general, paying more attention in the moment than on their phones. Like sometimes you're just trying to be with someone in the moment, and then all of a sudden their phone, and you lose them. And I get that feeling too. That does suck.
Yeah. But we should have some empathy for that, I think, because it is so normal. Everybody does that. And really, that's what the phone is designed to do. That's why people have so many notifications. I actually just talked to Tyler about this the other day because, again, this is something that all couples deal with. And I think it really fluctuates. But Tyler has all his notifications turned on for Snapchat. And when I mean all, it doesn't just mean when somebody sends him something. Whenever anybody that is his friend or anything posts a story, he gets a notification. And so all day long, he's getting these Snapchat notifications. And it doesn't mean he's jumping on Snapchat, but he's opening his phone, then he's on Monopoly Go, and then scrolling Facebook, and then it's the doom scroll of Reels for
It's a
30
slippery
minutes.
slope.
And just because somebody else posted on their story somewhere else that has nothing to do with us. I just told him the other day too, do you realize that you can turn those off? And not only can you turn those off, I know at least on iPhones, because I put this on and it's been a lifesaver for my brain, is you can put in scheduled summaries. So you can put all your notifications in summaries that you schedule. I have a morning, afternoon, and evening summary, and that's where all my news notifications go. Anything that's not a direct text message goes into those. So I just get blurbs of it throughout the day. I don't get bombarded with it all day long.
That's actually really good advice. And in fact, if I was this poster and I was watching this, that would be some good advice for your husband, is to just put everything in summary. So this way he's only getting important stuff. And sometimes when someone gets a text, look real quick, but you don't have to respond. Texts are texts because they're not meant to be responded and looked at right away. Like, doesn't mean you have to look at them.
This is the thing too, I think, about cell phones, that we need to start At first, when we had cell phones, I think we all decided how cool we have all this access to everybody at all times. But I think we need to start going back to phones, and communication is a two-way street. And it's kind of a thing where you have to consent. Just because somebody has their phone on them, which does 17 other things, doesn't mean that they have to
Mhm.
reply to your text message the second that you send it to them. There's
Yeah.
like a plethora of other things they could be doing. And if they're not ready to respond or have a conversation, I mean, we used to have to drive to people's house to have a conversation and plan for it and be ready and all kinds of things. So
Or
just
call them on the landline and stuff like
yeah, I
that,
think people
right?
need to just cool their jets on all this access that they think they have to people. You can send a message and you gotta wait until the next day if it's not an emergency. That doesn't mean the person doesn't care for you or like you. That they
Yeah.
just we're all out here living. We're out here
Yeah.
grinding.
It seems like this girl's kind of tough place because how do you communicate it to somebody if you've already communicated how you feel and brushing you off and saying, I feel like you are ignoring me a lot for your phone and they're not even acknowledging it. Sometimes you know that to me. And I will be like, you know what, you're probably right because
Mhm.
when I am on my phone, I do kind of block everything else out. I do a million things on my phone. I used to edit on my
Yeah.
phone. Now I use the tablet. I'll be doing a lot of different stuff on my phone. It's not just texting
Mhm.
other people.
I'm usually doing 6 things at once. I'm watching a YouTube video, I'm checking my bank
Mhm.
account, I'm talking to somebody, 3 different
Yeah.
conversations, I'm checking my appointment schedule, all that stuff.
But I can't acknowledge when he says when you're in that I can't communicate with you. You're right, whatever. But it seems like this guy can't
That's the
do
part.
that.
That's
So
the part. Because a lot of times too, we don't really need that to change too much. Again, this is a common problem. I could try to find some strategies like an afternoon summary or something that could limit that. But really, I think what this girl is looking for is just, like you said, some acknowledgement. I understand how you could feel ignored. I am not trying to ignore you. I'm a human. I got distracted. I'm sorry. I think that that could solve all the problems in the world, but for some reason, this man doesn't want to give her that. I can relate to that as well. Tyler and I sometimes struggle with acknowledgement. I think it's hard for him to. I think he thinks that if he says, "Okay, you're right. I did something wrong. I apologize," that that makes it worse for some reason.
it gives you more power or something like
Yeah,
that. Or
I don't know if he thinks that's gonna make the argument go on, but for me, that's a really soothing thing. I don't need to hear you're right, but just I can see how you would feel that way. That would even be fine for me, even if he disagrees. But sometimes it's hard for him to get himself there, and that can be a really frustrating thing. I think you're right. This girl is in a difficult situation if she's brought this up and he's not even willing to try to see her perspective. I even said, I don't think her perspective is correct, that she is actually being ignored purposefully and intentionally. I think this is all just happening and it is
Mhm.
probably frustrating. But the fact that this guy is not even saying, like, hey, I hear you, that must suck to feel that way. I think it sort of contributes to her feeling of being ignored.
like you said, you could do that summary thing. You could also be like, hey, we'll spend an hour a day where we don't touch our phones or something like that, where
Yeah.
we're having dinner or something like that. I mean, you can do stuff like that. But it's going to happen occasionally where you're talking to somebody and then they're going to get a notification. They're going to look at the phone because that's just the society we're in
Yeah.
right now, sadly.
Well, this is gonna have to be an ongoing conversation for both of them. Phone is always gonna be a distraction, I think, in some way, shape, or form, just depending on what app they're using at what
Mhm.
time. So just have to find a way to talk to each other about it. And I think, like what you said, just being able to say, did get distracted, my bad. It could probably go a long way.
Right, but that's if dude was watching this, but he seems to not. I don't know. Like, I don't really know how. If you're communicating it just fine, and he's just like, you're
You
just gonna
can't
have to keep
force
dealing.
anyone to listen. Yeah. She's gonna have to beat her head up against that wall as many times as she wants
Yeah,
to. I don't know. She either gives up or something changes.
just
Again, I
find
can't
find what you
stress
can do
enough,
with it.
though, how important it is for someone to just wrap their mind around if he would just say, I get that you feel ignored and I'm sorry, and I'll work on that. I really don't think he'd have to change much. I don't think he'd have to even make a scheduled summary. I really think she just wants him to understand.
Let's see if anybody else understands.
Yeah,
So,
what do people think? Because this is a real backseat, fourth seats. It could go either way.
so somebody said when he does it, leave every time. If he asks why, say you're clearly busy with something else. If he gets huffy, tell him that he has a choice between being on his phone and conversing with you, and he always uses his phone and forgets you exist in that time, and that's fine. He gets to make that choice, but it doesn't come without consequences. If you choose to not tolerate his rudeness, try to have your stuff ready to go at all times and don't stop to turn off the stove or do anything else. Just leave, not the asshole.
Okay, that is a way. But is that the way? I think this is a lot. And this is a lot on everybody. This is a lot to have a bag packed, to have to be ready to turn off the stove at a moment's notice. That means you're gonna have to fend for yourself when you be driving. And then where are you gonna go? You're just gonna have to leave. This is a punishment for that girl. I get the psychology behind it. I get that she's trying to train someone with consequences, but that's just not appropriate or applicable to this real life situation here. That ain't gonna work.
I just feel like I've heard of so many worse situations. Just somebody being distracted by their phone, I don't think warrants you to be ready to leave at any
Leave
moment. Like
immediately every time.
you're not being
Oh,
locked in a bathroom like one homegirl or being proposed to with earrings or something like that. You shouldn't be like ready to
so
go.
true.
I think that's a little bit much for the
That's
situation.
excessive.
But if this is happening so repetitively, then maybe just go in the other room. But you don't have to say all that.
I think there's more direct ways to attach a consequence to this behavior. Consequence could be as much as to sit down next to him and say, "You're hurting my feelings." You don't have to leave. It just seems rather passive to me to just peace out and be ready at any moment to
Right.
abandon somebody because they got distracted. Like, get over yourself. This is
Right.
not healthy relationshiping.
I just feel like that's a
It's
really
bad.
juvenile
That's
way
bad
to
advice.
handle
Please
it.
tell me people told her that that was bad advice.
I mean, this is so new that all these comments don't have any votes or anything on it, so they're all real fresh. So she's getting a crapshoot right now. So
Okay.
we're not getting the refined top comments. We're getting everything.
The real-time comments.
Yeah, the real time. There's 10 people here right now. Comments. 12. Someone said, "Not the asshole. My ex did this to me constantly. Didn't even realize I stopped talking when he picked up his phone. Guess why he's my ex." I mean, yeah, if people aren't listening to you enough times, I'm not saying that just because it's a typical problem doesn't mean that it should be happening to you so much that you can't even hold a conversation with this person.
That's the
That's
thing, you
not
can't
okay.
control other people's behavior, but you have to say, "This hurts my feelings, I don't appreciate it," and that's what I meant about banging your head against the wall. If you wanna bang your head against the wall and they're not gonna change, you can do that as many times as you please before you would like to walk away, and that's just up to every individual person. I'm not saying this is a reason to leave somebody, but it is a reason to leave somebody when you persistently ask for something that's reasonable, and they don't even acknowledge that it's reasonable, let
Right.
alone do anything about it. That is a reason to leave.
Right. Because if you keep having to ask for something that's reasonable, when something unreasonable comes up, they're not going to help you at all.
Yeah.
They're not going to inconvenience themselves in the slightest. If they won't even inconvenience themselves when it's not inconvenient, then they won't do it when you're having a baby that's screaming. He's just going to look at his phone. So
No, it's completely a problem to not be responsive to your partner when they're asking for something that's reasonable, or even if it's slightly unreasonable but doable and it makes your partner happy. It's really not that big of a deal.
Steve be doing unreasonable things for me all the time, and guess what? We're still
Every
together.
day. Tyler buys me an iced tea every single day so I can drink it for work. There's just things that we do for our partners that are not necessary.
So there's not a lot of scrolls for these comments. There's only a few comments on this right now. There's 15 comments, so I'm not going to read them all, but I do want to read a bottom comment right now, which is, "You're the asshole. The time to do something was years ago. Your insecurity is your problem."
That's one way to look at it.
All right. I feel like that's a little excessive, but I feel like that might be the boyfriend.
True, he probably found it. But
Time to do
I mean,
something was years ago. I don't know how long she said she was with this guy.
Right.
Oh, living together for years. Okay.
Okay. This girl is insecure. Again, it's not healthy for the immediate message that you get from that is to be, "I don't matter and he cares about everyone else more than me." But I'm 70% sure that's probably not what's going on in his mind. This poor man just probably has ADHD, or he's just like the rest of us who fall prey to these notifications and the phone all the time. That's what they're made for. They're giant distraction boxes, and all the algorithms are made to keep you looking. So just have some compassion, lady, and stop with the "nobody cares about me. He cares about you." But I don't think she's the asshole. These comments are weird.
There is a comment that's similar to what we said. This person said, "I think that's pretty normal and could be something as simple and innocent. Regardless, it shows that his prioritizing over you with no explanation. Maybe look at limiting screen time at home. Pretty normal in today's day and age. Something like do not disturb from dinner on, obviously, if circumstances allow for that." Yeah, do not
Yeah.
disturb wouldn't be bad. When you're just getting home from work, just be like, "Hey, will you throw your phone on do not disturb for like, I don't know, like an hour so we can like
Rest
chat,
of the
chat,
night
catch
or
up."
yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's a really good solution to that as well. And again, that's why I like being direct. Asking for a request and seeing what he does is a lot better than just leaving the house or leaving the room every single time that he does it. You know how
Right.
long it's going to take for him to put together everything if he's over here distracted by his phone? It's going to be 30 minutes before he even looks up from the Facebook reels. It's going to take months and months for this man to put
True.
all that together. Just sit down and
True.
say, "I'd like for us to spend some time together." And if he is not willing to do that, then that makes things a lot more clear for you as well. So just
That's
let's do that.
I think that that's the most straightforward way, like, just asking for what you need, and then
Yeah.
that's that. I
See what he
mean,
does. Is he responsive or not?
'cause I think that's easier to give them an option, right? We've learned giving men options is the best idea. So be like, listen, I've been feeling this way. So maybe to help me not feel this way, we put our phones on do not disturb for an hour when we're home, or you do this notifications thing with the summary or whatever. There's a couple different options. And
Mhm.
we do this for a little while because it's making me feel this way. Sometimes when you just tell people, oh, you look at your phone too much, like you don't pay attention to me, like, it's bothering me. You're not really giving them a way to change that. You know what I mean?
And you're
Maybe you
bound
gotta
to
give
defend
them.
yourself, especially if that girl is like, "You just don't care about me." He's gonna be like, "Yes, I do.
Yeah,
What are you talking about?" And that does feel
right.
dismissive.
So
So,
maybe you gotta give him an option or some way
yeah.
to navigate how you're feeling and also be able to look at his phone because he does also need to check his if he's getting texts from people and stuff like that and he needs to check them. I don't think he's cheating or anything like that. I'm waiting for that kind of comment where it's like, "Oh, he's probably cheating." But I think this is just something really simple. But
I think that comment wins so far.
maybe I'll read just one more. Comments are gonna keep coming in, but someone said, not the asshole. When two people in a relationship, they should have the courtesy to put the phone down during a conversation. You should probably set some agreed upon boundaries here and make sure both of you abide by them. No phones at the dinner table. We set aside 30 minutes every evening for one on one time. This is all assuming that both of you have some decompression dash alone time. If you want to make it a house rule, to do something like that, I feel like that's fine too, because this way it's not just him, it's both of you. You're both doing it. I mean, there are some things you can do.
I think that would actually be nice. And again, it's really just all about how he's gonna respond to her. There's no way I would have a really hard time unless she was being completely irrational of saying that she's an asshole for feeling ignored. I mean, that's valid. But it all depends on what you do. If you listen to the first comment and you just storm out and walk out of the house every single time, I would probably call her an asshole because then this man would be on Reddit. I don't know why every time I touch my cell phone, this woman leaves. Like, what? How passive aggressive can you be?
Yeah. Um,
But if you sit down and you're like, "Hey, this is how I'm feeling. Are you willing to spend some time doing X, Y, and Z?" I think that that's
yeah.
reasonable and kind, and it's gonna make things a lot more clear.
And if he tells you no, then you need to reevaluate some things possibly.
Yeah, because this is not a big ask, it's really not, and it's something
Mhm.
that all couples go through, and, I mean, let's think for a minute about what you're asking this man for. You're asking this man for a little bit more focused time and attention. I think that that's something that all couples should have, so
Right.
if he's not willing to have that with you, that is a problem, but let's make sure that that's the problem
Word.
to your
And
mother
honestly,
and your
I
brother.
think that's where we're gonna leave it, Chick Chatters. Quite the short story this week.
Yeah, that's good, it's a short and sweet.
And if you are seeing this, because it was only posted an hour ago, so hopefully I'll get in there between the 5 day time. But if you see this, then that is our advice to you is just to either set up a house rule or maybe a suggestion for this man. Come to him with at least another conversation. I know you're sick of having these conversations, but go up to him with another conversation and see how he responds. And depending on how he responds, maybe you need to reevaluate some things. I know you've been saying that you all live together and things are going great, but it's just pretty simple. I don't think that it would be much if you give him a suggestion and to roll with it and see where it goes. So
Yeah, so give us an update.
let us know.
We'll be here when you're ready.
And if you guys, chick chatters, does anybody else have any advice for her, what she could be doing or what they think about this story?
Yeah, leave your advice in the comments. Or, like we said, this is a really common problem. I think you and I shared our personal stories of the things that we've dealt with. Feel free to share your own stories and how you deal with it, or just how you deal with notifications in general. I think it's just a problem for anybody, whether you're in a relationship or not. We all find ourselves 20, 30 minutes into TikTok or Facebook Reels, Instagram.
It's even video games. Video games can also be distracting. I mean, we are very distracted by our screens these days. So look at y'all are here.
Exactly. You're here probably procrastinating something like we all are. But anyway, speaking of people being here, we met our subscriber goal of 300 subscribers. So we want to celebrate with our story of the week watchers, because I know you guys have probably been here since day one. I don't know.
Maybe.
Or if you're not, welcome. But anyways, we set a new subscriber goal of 350 subscribers. So
350.
350. So if you're here and you're not subscribed, give us a subscribe.
Give us a subscribe, give us a thumbs up, give us a share.
Yes, all those things.
And reduce, reuse, recycle, Rihanna.
Bye.
Oh, I didn't exit. Oh, goodbye.